So let's talk about the hierarchy of music. Not saying anything profound. Just if you find yourself in a situation like me where you've got hundreds and hundreds of files on your computer and you want to kind of know how to move forward. So really this goes back to the genesis of the idea for this YouTube channel is, as I stated before in my probably not so good introduction video, is I'm a 50-something-year-old Gen Xer now with a little bit of time on his hands. And a year ago, I fell down a rabbit hole and built a brand new 2-channel hi-fi stereo system for myself. Again, for repeating for those that don't know, my digital source is my computer, where I've ripped tons of CDs over the years or purchased MP3 files from Amazon or iTunes. And then I do have probably about 50 titles of high-res files, 24-bit files that I purchased from HD Tracks. That's being served through a USB cable into my DAC, which is a Denafrips Aries 2 DAC / ENYO. It was the same device, but under 2 different names. And it's going through a Rotel A11 Tribute amp out through these Wharfdale Denton 85th generation speakers. For my analog source, it's again a very modest or below modest turntable. It's an Audio-Technica LP120, I believe. I do have an upgraded cartridge on there. It's the red one. It's the ML version of it. I'll put the specs down below. And that's going through a preamp right now, a Phono preamp, which is the Pro-Ject 2-box S2 into, again, the Rotel. So going back, how do I go about to set a hierarchy of music? So for instance, the format that I like to listen to music the most enjoyment, well, maybe not even the most enjoyment, but for the albums that I'm going to sit down and listen to the whole album without interruption are the ones I'm going to put on vinyl, right? Those are, like right now, I've got, pretty much everything by Pink Floyd that I own is on vinyl. Fleetwood Mac, the best sounding record that I have, period, which is a Mobile Fidelity, Dire Straits, their first album. By a huge margin, it's the best sounding piece of music I have in my house. And it's not even close. So yeah, so I put vinyl right up there at the top, analog, how I would prefer to listen to music, but that doesn't apply to everything. Again, I go back to my collection. I've got a collection that has been spanning over, 30 plus years of, at least from a digital perspective, right? Ripped CDs, MP3s, and some high-res files. Well, going through them, I'm trying to determine which direction I want to go. In some cases, I may want to go to a high-res file. So for instance, I was looking yesterday through my collection, and I've got some Police that are, MP3s that I ripped or downloaded. The Outlands D'Amour album, if I'm saying that right, their first album. Well, I'd like to listen to it on high res. I love the Police, but is it something that I really want to listen to on vinyl? Sure, if you want to give me a copy of it, it's probably going to be more expensive than the high res file. Again, being the modest audiophile, I don't necessarily need to have the best pressing or the best copy that's available for any amount of money you want to spend. I'm looking, reasonably. Do I want to spend 10, 15 bucks on a download for a 16K, 16-bit version? Or do I want to spend $25 for a high-res file? Or do I want to search for, that perfect vinyl copy for anywhere right now between 35 and $80, maybe more, depending on who it's from. So in this case, the police, after various research, and hey, anyone in the comments you want to put down here, help a guy out? I can't find any 24-bit original albums by the police for download. Can't find them. They're all 16K. I presume, I can go out and find a vinyl copy, and that's probably going to be the best sounding, hopefully, if it's a good pressing. I don't know. So these are some of the things that I've come up with in trying to determine how to set a hierarchy. So bottom hierarchy is how are we going to keep it to 16-bit MP3 or RIP CD. Those would be albums that I've owned at one particular time I got because maybe I liked one or two songs on it. It was maybe a phase I was going through at one time or another. Maybe I want to just keep it there. I don't really want to invest in a high res. Certainly don't want to invest it into a vinyl format because I'm not going to sit down and listen to the whole album. And then there's like another one, like the Cult, for instance, the Cult Electric. Yeah, there was a phase I was going through, but I still kind of like that album. I own it on 16-bit. I probably want to hear it on 24-bit. I'm not going to buy the vinyl record though. That's just not going to be something that I'm going to want to sit down and listen to the entire album with a beverage at the time and go through it. So the hierarchy there is going to be, all right, well, I like it enough, I think, where I want to get the high res, the 24-bit version of it. So, that's that. So that's the second level up on my hierarchy. I don't have a CD player today. I'm probably not going to go down that path because I've got a really good DAC. In fact, the reason why, it's going to kind of ramble a little bit here. The reason why I've got the Pro-Ject S2 Phono Preamp is because I had another one that I'll do another video on, but I had something from Fosse Audio that was better than the internal Phono Preamp that is sitting in my turntable, and it was better, maybe about the same, on par with the onboard Phono Preamp in the Rotel amp. So I'm listening to something one day through the Fosse Phono Preamp, and then I switched over and I was listening to something digital going through my Denafrips DAC, and I went, we can't have this. We can't have my digital experience sounding better, and not even close, better than my analog experience. The soundstage was bigger by a large margin. The holographic nature of the soundstage was more defined through the Denafrips than it was through the Fosse. And it was a Fosse tube Phono preamp as well, and I still wasn't getting it. So that's why I got rid of that. Well, I actually still own it, and that's why I upgraded to the Pro-Ject S2 2 box, I think it's called. $500, just a little bit less than what I spent for the Denafrips DAC. But at least now I was on par, meaning that my analog experience, for the most part, was still going to be a little bit better than than the best experience I was getting through my digital chain. So this is a call out to everybody who may be watching, maybe the three of you. How do you set up your musical hierarchy? Is it based on liking the band, liking the album, liking the song? Or is it based on probably mine, which is more experience, how I want to experience that album? I'll give you another for instance. I was a late bloomer when it came to jumping down the rabbit hole or getting on the bus, they say, when the Dead came by. I was always aware of them, always listened to them, but never fell down the rabbit hole of the Grateful Dead. About 15 years ago, I did. I was doing a lot of traveling with work, and I remember that I decided to, get all that plane time in the plane, and just get a couple concerts that I could listen to, thinking that I would fall asleep. No, the last thing that happened was I fell asleep. I completely went down the rabbit hole of the Grateful Dead. So, but I always equate that with, I listened to most of the Dead through a JBL boombox speaker, outside grilling, got tapping my toe, I'm bopping around, and I'm just, I look like every other Peanuts character, dancing to the Grateful Dead. When I first got this system, I didn't listen to any Dead on it. It wasn't the experience I was after. The experience I listened to the Dead in, and I'm outside and I'm having a good time, and it's background music. Well, more than background music, but it's how I listen to it. I do have some vinyl that I listen to from time to time, but it's different. How are you guys doing it? How do you set up your hierarchy of music? Put it in the comments. I'd love to understand that a bit better, or am I just the only confused middle-aged man who's trying to figure out the best way to rebuild his digital music collection? All right. Once again, if you like this content, please hit the like button. It's free, and even more free is if you hit the subscribe button. Trying to create a community here with like-minded individuals. In my case, Gen X, right? People always forget about us. It's a boomer world or it's a millennial and below world. Well, how do we like to listen to music? Which is probably a little bit different than both. If I were a boomer, I'd have a crap ton of vinyl, because that was the medium that was most prevalent at the time. I got a couple vinyl records from being a kid. They're scratched beyond belief. Two in particular that I remember buying on the same day that my parents bought the turntable. I bought the Stones' Tattoo You and Foreigner 4 on the same day. And those, I think, were the first ones I bought with my own money. But they're scratched beyond belief right now, so I'm not going to listen to them. How do I want to replace them? That's what this channel's for. I don't know how I'm going to want to replace those particular ones yet, so we'll have to go down the journey together and figure it out. But yeah, anyway, that's it. As I try to remember to say in most of the videos here, is that take time for yourself. Being able to listen to your favorite music that you've grown up with and heard hundreds and hundreds of times, being able to listen to it through a modest hi-fi, 2-channel hi-fi system, like you're hearing it for the very first time again. Now cue, I guess, Foreigner, right? So sit back for 45 minutes and listen to one of your favorite records, either through an analog channel or through digital means. As long as it's a pretty good system, you're going to hear stuff you've never heard before. So thanks for sticking around. Hope to see you on the next video. Take care.